Hello everybody, this is Kat and Sid, and a few days ago we made a video about English names, and I want to thank you guys so much for leaving all your comments with your English names, and like we said, we're going to go through and comment on the ones that got the most likes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. 1347. Hot ones, right?
Yeah.
First one, Alice. I think it's really cute. And I have a friend named Alice, so I like this name. Although it's not actually that common. Like, I think some people think it's kind of old-fashioned. But, like, it's a really good name and it's really cute. So, please choose Alice as an English name.
Please? What do you mean, please?
I recommend Alice as an English name. I think it's a good name. That's my first impression. Alice in Wonderland. It sounds very dainty. It sounds girly, kind of delicate. Yeah. Okay, Alice. Thumbs up to Alice. Yvonne. Yeah. Well, Yvonne is a French name, I'm pretty sure.
Her Chinese name is Yvonne.
Yvonne.
It sounds like Yvonne.
Yeah, it does. It does sound similar. I think it's a good name to use. It's like not that common. It's not a very common name. But I think it's really pretty and sounds very French to me, very like, oh, Yvonne. You know. So Yvonne is good. It also sounds very girly to me. Kim. Kim is good. It's pretty simple. Usually this is short for Kimberly, such as Kim Kardashian. Her real name is Kimberly. So, I mean, the first thing I would think of is Kim Kardashian. All things considered, it's a pretty good name. It's very normal. It's easy to say. I think all Americans know how to say it. They know how to say Kim Kardashian, so. Kate is a good name, and guess what? It's so close to Kat. Because Kate is a nickname for Catherine, Katrina, K-A-T, whatever, C-A-T, whatever. Kate is a nickname for that. I think Kate sounds cute. Everyone knows how to say Kate. It's a very popular name, to be honest. So you will probably meet a lot of people named Kate. Gina. Like, if I think of someone named Gina, kind of sounds like a tough city girl. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of, like, when I lived in Philly, I feel like those, like, South Philly girls, like, a lot of them be named Gina. So, like, sounds tough to me. Like, not very, like, girly. But, I mean, that's, like, still a good name. Mia. I love that name. I think Mia's really cute. It's really easy to say. It's actually not that common. I haven't met a lot of people named Mia, but I feel like everyone knows how to say it, and it's really simple, so I feel like it's a good English name. So far, these are all good. Coco. Coco is definitely a nickname. A lot of people will name their dog or any kind of animal, and it's such a cute name that it's almost too cute for humans. But there are still humans named Coco, of course. It kind of seems slightly ditzy. But that being said, I still like this name a lot and I think it's really cute. So, you know, you have Coco Chanel, you have, I don't know. That's probably the most famous Coco. It's a little bit verging on the pet name spectrum, but it's still good. It's still acceptable. Next one, Lucy. Yeah, I like this name, and I think it's not that common. Things that I would think of if I hear Lucy, to be honest, it's kind of an old-fashioned name. It kind of has a similar feeling to Alice. They're both kind of a little bit old-fashioned, but like in a good way. Like, they're good names. Lucy, I think of like Lucille Ball, you know, the comedian lady. I also think of like the Beatles song, Lucy sky with diamonds. So all of that stuff kind of seems old-fashioned, but in a good way. Wenny?
Is that real?
I've never heard any such name before. To be honest, I think Americans would think it's kind of weird. It sounds like Wendy, but there's no D sound. For Wenny, which just sounds like a made-up version of Winnie. I mean, yeah, it does sound kind of strange. Like, it sounds like, it does sound made up, and like, I mean, to be frank, there are a lot of Americans who make up names for their kids. Just like make it up out of nowhere, or like make a really weird spelling of just some name. And I mean, some people would say like, oh, they're being creative, but a lot of people think that like made up names like that are just really silly. And like, I mean, people stereotype other people based on their name, you know, like if you're like sending in like a job application and your name is something that sounds made up, they might just toss it away because they're like, what kind of name is that? So, if I'm being harsh, I would say don't go with Wenny. It sounds too weird. But that's my harsh opinion. Nancy kind of sounds like a 50-year-old lady. Because, like, when I think of Nancy, the first thing I think of is like Nancy Drew mystery books. It sounds kind of old-fashioned to me. I feel like if I'm gonna meet somebody named Nancy around here, some lady who is at least 40. That being said, I think it's a decent name. Like, the thing is with a lot of these names that sound old-fashioned, like they always come back into fashion. And there's some that are exceptions. For example, Bess is one of those names where it sounds kind of like an old lady name. And it doesn't seem like that's gonna become popular again, because I feel like there's something about that name, about like Bess, that like doesn't sound very pleasing when I hear it. Like, honestly, the name Bess makes me think of like a cow. You read in books or something, there's like a farmer and his cow is named Bessie or something. Bess, like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's where I'm getting it from. Okay. So I feel like Bess is a little weird and I wouldn't pick it because it makes me think of a cow. Okay. Shea. Wait, let me search something really quick. Okay, Shay is a name, but it's not that common, I think. Oh, the name Shay is a baby boy name. The name Shay comes from the Irish origin. Okay, so it's an Irish name. I guess it's a boy name. I think some people use it as girl names sometimes. The same sound, but different spelling. I think I've seen that more often for girls. I mean, I think of shea butter. You know, you rub it on your skin to be all moisturized. Yeah, this thing. It's like some nut butter. Shea butter. So that's kind of what I think of when I hear shea. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess you guys saw it. Like, the first thing I did was pronounce it wrong. So, yeah. But I think people know this name. It's an established name. So this person's name is Rizzo. And I've never met any person with the first name Rizzo. I've heard it as a last name maybe like once. And I feel like I've heard it as like a cartoon character's name maybe. Yeah, I think it's like an Italian last name. You know what? When I was thinking of some like character on some TV show or cartoon who had this name, it was definitely like that's their last name and they're being called by their last name as a nickname. So it's weird to choose that as your English name because it's like not a first name, it's a last name. This person picked a last name in addition to Rizzo as a first, so Rizzo Nall. Just, you don't need a last name. You don't need to pick a last name. I would just say, just don't even bother doing that, because if you come here and you introduce yourself as Rizzo Nal and you're Chinese, I think everyone will be very, very confused. And they'll be like, what? Are you adopted? Or, you know, like, Are you mixed? Like, did you marry like some American person? You change your name? Yeah, just you don't need to choose a last name because there's so many Chinese people who live here and are using their Chinese last name. So it's not a problem to be using that.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah.
You have to be harsh on that.
Yeah, don't choose a middle name, don't choose a last name. Just forget about it. Swanla. Just Swanla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Emma.
Emma. It's a good name, it's cute.
It's very common.
It's very common. Emma is a very common name for little girls and for young women. Okay, Tan.
Tan?
Using the last name.
Oh yeah.
Using last name as the English name. Here's the thing about that. Like, I know the name order is different. So it may be a little confusing sometimes.
Right.
For both sides. But like, I think there's a ton of American people who think Kim Jong-un, they think his first name is Kim, like Kim Kardashian. Is it the case where like sometimes people are gonna call you by your last name?
Like, you know, the little one, little D.
Right. Okay, well,
yeah, I guess
Shao
they do
Tan.
call your last. I feel like if you won't do this, just say you don't have English. Just call me my last name.
Yeah, you don't need to call that, if that's your last name, you don't need to call that your English name. I feel like it's weird to introduce yourself just by your last name, and people will be confused. So there is a Chinese American writer whose name is Amy Tan, and she's very well known in the US. So they'll probably think, oh, it's like Amy Tan. I guess you can use that. I mean, just tell them that's your last name, because otherwise they're going to get confused. Okay. I'm assuming Tam, T-A-M, is your Chinese last name. If that means you're picking Ellie as your English name, I think that's great. That's a really good name. It sounds cute. Ellie is generally a nickname. Any name that starts with E-L. Elizabeth, Elena, Eleanor, any kind of name like that. Ellie would be a nickname for those. But I think there are cases of people when they name their kid just Ellie, like that's their legal name. I like it. And it's simple. Simple is very important, I feel like. The most important thing, like if you're choosing an English name, I think convenience is the most important thing, right? So like if you make it too complicated, it's just not going to be convenient for you, you know, because you're going to have to correct people all the time if they're getting your name wrong, you know, and it's like, well, why don't I just use my Chinese name? Right. If they're just getting this name wrong too. But I mean, if you're just picking it for fun, then I don't know. E-Y-R-E, Eyre? Like Jane Eyre? Okay, well, this is a lot of names and we have to move on to the next part. So we're just going to talk about the first one. So Eyre? Yeah, I feel like, let me search it really quick. The first thing that I think of if I see Eyre, or I don't know how you're pronouncing it, but I would pronounce it Eyre, because of the novel Jane Eyre, which is like a really, really famous book. And this is a last name. I don't think people use this as a first name. And I feel like a lot of people will be very confused. If they see it in the title of Jane Eyre, people would know how to pronounce that because it's a really famous book. But if they see it just by itself, they might be confused and not know how to pronounce it. So I would say, although I commend you for choosing a name out of classic literature, which I appreciate, I think that's really cool. But I would say it sounds like a last name. It doesn't sound like a first name at all to me, and it sounds like a little strange. So for example, if I were to go to China and introduce myself as Li Liu, like Liu as my first name, yeah, I think that would sound a little strange.
Right.
So that's basically what it sounds like to me, like if you introduce yourself as Eyre or whatever. Like there are some cases when a name that is usually used as a last name sounds pretty good as a first name, but I feel like this is not one of those names. Yeah, so let's move on. Let's see, to me this sounds like Marvin with no M.